think in that second one, we want to make sure we have appointing authority.
Oh, there's a bunch of questions, and I think
We're nowhere near
Councilwoman.
anything. That was just the three things that we wanted to make sure, because of the way it's set up. We're nowhere near sitting down to the table striking it.
Yeah.
A whole lot more has got to be put together with that before.
there's probably no greater matter for the future of Lewisburg facing us than this particular matter. It's very, very serious. And
Yeah,
it's
because
incumbent upon us to be very careful. And that's, the first step was getting our counselor to do some study. You want to go ahead?
We good?
Just keep us updated, please.
And when we know, you'll know.
I just don't
Well-
understand how come we've been kept out of the loop of it so much.
What I would like, and I was gonna save it to other business, particularly with them meeting tonight, and the few emails that we have telling us what's happening, I basically know hearsay. I would like to have a special called meeting so we can get up to date on exactly what's going on, how far it's going on, and how the city and its citizens are going to be affected by this move. And I don't think we can wait to the work session. I don't think we can wait to a city council meeting, because I think this will be a lengthy meeting by itself, the one subject. So I would like to put on the table here that we have a special called meeting for
You have
this
a date
subject
in mind?
alone. Yes, sir, I do. Now, I know that the county commission, do they meet the 25th?
Yes.
So, yes. So I would like to have it before the 25th. Patty is traveling. She will be back on the 19th, so I would like to have the special called on the 20th. I know it's a Wednesday. I know it's a church night, but this is an important topic here and subject matter.
Very important.
What
My
time?
question is, who is going to bring the information?
Well,
Because we hadn't met with anybody.
well, this is our chance to meet with them. I think we ought to
Well,
have
the purpose
everybody
of-
that's over there
Everybody
right
that's over there.
now, where they invited on the 12th, where we couldn't go. Everybody right now should come right over here.
Explain it to us.
Mhm.
I totally understand, but I mean, as an authority on a board, we don't have the power to enforce them. We can ask what they like
We
to
can
come.
ask.
Or
Well,
whatever.
that's exactly
Yeah, I
But
right.
think it
say
needs-
need
We
to-
can ask.
No, I don't mind doing that, but we need to get that set up before we just throw a date out there.
Right.
We want
Well,
it as soon as possible,
I
but we
would
don't
like-
have any information. It's gotta come from that side.
That's
all I'm
exactly
saying.
right. And I would like to have it before their meeting, because they may make decisions on the 25th.
Be done.
So let's make it a request to try to do it for what time?
What time?
Anytime after 3:30.
Any time after 3:30?
4 o'clock Wednesday? That'd give the church, and that'd be a formal request and invite them to come. If nobody comes, that says something to us.
Says they really don't need our business.
Yep.
Well, our
Is that-
local water or wastewater department, right?
They can come.
And then the county, whoever,
And
whoever's
invite
in charge of that.
the participants that have been invited tonight.
That's exactly what I would like to see.
That, I think that's what the request should be.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's for the 20th.
And I don't know that we were invited to tonight, were we?
We were yesterday at one,
Noon, yeah.
1:52 or something is when we were invited.
Are you good with that, Ben?
I'm
With
fine.
that, with the request? Okay.
We can make the request.
Okay, so the 20th at 4,
Mhm.
and that still gives us time to go to church?
Everybody good?
Here,
Good for me.
I'll need to
Here.
know
She's got
soon, because I have to publish that y'all are coming together for a meeting, so.
Well, we're gonna come together, so who shows up, shows up.
But yeah.
And it's discuss the potential water authority, is that how you would word it?
Yeah, discuss.
Potential-
Formation of
Potential.
a water authority.
Formation.
You know,
So once found, you find out for sure if the 20th at 4 is gonna work, let me know, and then I'll put something out.
like say, if nobody shows up, that's on them.
Yeah, I would go on and publish it. We'll all be here.
Yeah, we're gonna shut down.
Can you be here, Mr. Hutto?
I can be here, yes.
Mr. Beers, can you be here on behalf of the?
Yes, we can be
Okay.
here. I can be here, let's say that.
You can be here. Okay, thank you.
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, since we're talking about
Thank you.
water, we had the police department roof fixed a few Fridays ago, and then they sprang 3 more leaks. And contacted Mr. Goldman and Village Roofing, and they came down last Friday, I believe, and fixed those 3. Till it rains again, we feel like it's fixed. But that happens a lot of times when you do a major repair on a roof, you have water stored in the membrane, and as you fix one spot, it'll roll in that membrane to another spot. Since there were 3 individual spots, that probably got it this time. We'll see when it rains.
And we need some rain, yeah.
Uh,
I hope that's soon.
Mr. Turner with PRO came and replaced the tile in the areas where he did the roof work here to wait for rain again to see exactly where we know we still got a few little leaks, but he's trying to pinpoint exactly where it is. So the new tile will tell that once it rains again.
Sure looks better.
Yes, makes a world of difference. So we already talked about the paving. This is a community announcement, but since it's our park, Rock Creek Park, this Sunday, 5 p.m., there's a community fellowship and worship service at Rock Creek Park. They'll have a guest speaker, a gentleman by the name of Clay Dyer. He's a professional fisherman with no arms, piece of arm over here, piece of hand, no legs, and he's a professional fisherman, got sponsorship,
Wow.
bringing his boat and everything else, but he's a motivational speaker. He'll be here to speak, and they're going to have fish, chicken, french fries, hush puppies, coleslaw, all the fixing, free.
What time did you say?
Starting at 5 p.m. They'll start the eating. This Sunday. Starting at 5 p.m. the eating. Eat for an hour, hour and a half, and then he'll do his speech. And Talos Incorporated has volunteered their services to help serve the food.
Oh, wow.
So they're going to fix the plates,
Not
have them
surprised.
sitting on the table. All you gotta do is walk by, pick up a plate, and enjoy it. So
That's nice.
Oh, that's
good use for our park.
Sunday.
This Sunday,
That's wonderful. It's wonderful.
yes. Starting at 5, the eating.
Anything else?
Yes, on the last work session, we were discussing the salary of our public works director, and it was asked that his salary be adjusted. I was reluctant to adjust an individual salary based that we're in the middle of a salary compensation study. MTAS legal authority is just not a good look, a good thing to do. But after conversation with the public works director, several conversations, I think we really found the root cause of his issue. He's exempt salary employee, but due to the reduced workforce we have in his department, which has been a problem for the last 3 or 4 years, anything that goes on, him and some of the guys, and it's usually a handful, same ones that will come and do the overtime. There was a point years ago, if he worked 3 hours over, or he worked 4 hours over, he was able to take off and absorb that time. Well, with the reduced workforce, the inability to hire anybody else, he's unable to do so now. So my solution is to change him from being salary exempt, go to an hourly rate non-exempt. Anytime he's called out to work, any hours he's working, he's getting paid, just like the other guys he's right there with.
Would it be considered overtime pay or pay at a straight rate?
And he's getting straight rate, but if it's overtime, calling out, it's overtime. It's
Okay.
just like what everybody else gets.
So what's the work week, 40 hours? Do we know how many overtime hours he works a week?
It's not a solid number, it fluctuates.
Well, I
Depends
figured
on
that,
when
but-
you get the, when you get the storms
Storms,
and this
yeah.
and that,
Mhm.
and when you get a day where you're behind because we only have 5 or 6 people mowing and you have to work another couple of hours overtime, it's not an exorbitant amount. I'll be monitoring and keeping up with it, but, he'll be compensated when he's called out.
And rightly so. So we don't know what this will do to his baseline salary. His annual salary, I guess, is what the correct thing is. Not until,
It's,
I think it'd be just much simpler to keep him increasing him to 11,000 and not having to change everything.
that's not a good look. I can't do that. Because we're paying $30,000 for a salary compensation. There's just a lot of salaries. It's not right. I can't fairly and honestly, morally and ethically take one and adjust it.
and what does, I know that we've had some issues with illness and sickness on that salary study. And I know that when it comes in, we won't be able to move on it quick enough for anybody.
There you go.
But what does it look like time-wise for us?
He's on vacation in Minnesota this year. He's come and had his meetings with the directors and the managers and myself. He should be
Good.
back next week. All the questionnaires have been turned in. He should be able to go through the rest of what I took him on Friday. So I'm just guessing, barring nothing or whatever, by the end of September, he should have it done. And like I say, I don't fully see us being able to do anything this year. That's why I suggested that I change the director's salary for the remainder of this year till we get back and can see what we can do with all salaries.
I think he's the lowest paid head of department, overseeing everybody.
We've been there
compared to everyone
before.
else's.
We've been there before. We base his salary on the salary of street department directors within a certain radius. You cannot honestly compare director salaries to director salaries when it's different skill sets required for this salary, different skill set. You're not comparing apples to apples. And I'm not saying that he's not worthy of more money. It's not about the individual or a person per se.
Going to hourly that you're proposing, is his hourly rate based on his current
It'd be on
pay
his current salary.
divided by
Just divvy it out
2080?
by- Yeah. They show on his sheet what his salary is, what that would be per hour.
Okay, anything else? Anything else?
That's it. That's all I got.
All right, let's see who's on the back row. Drew, are you representing Larry? Thank you again for doing the pledge for us.
Yes, sir. Just to fill y'all in on a couple of things that we've had going on at the fire hall. We completed our annual pump test last year on all of our apparatus. They all did pass. We have to do that every year. Last week. They all passed. We didn't have to make any repairs, so they're good to go until something happens, hopefully not. We brought the fire safety house, the mobile trailer. I don't know if any of y'all have ever seen it. It's at Public Works for a couple of years. We're in the process of revamping it and remodeling it. We have a lot of children that are in schools nowadays that have never seen that. So we've had some donations of supplies from local businesses and citizens. So we're trying to get that back up and going and get ready for Fire Safety Month next month. We've had a lot of training going on the past month and this upcoming month. I wanted to recognize some of the on-shift people for the amount of work that they're putting in. We have 8 personnel currently in emergency medical responder. That's a 64-hour class, and it's been going on since August the 15th, and it goes to September the 28th. Lieutenant Stephen Dalton just recently completed his Fire Inspector 1. He'll be a huge asset to us out on calls looking for life safety hazards. Jeremy Spray, he just completed Fire and Life Safety Educator. That's a class that teaches individuals in our line of work to go out and create these public education classes for young adults, children, and even elderly. So firefighter Matt Fox and Captain Corey Carden are currently right now in fire investigator. It's a 2-week course. It's a very challenging course. They will graduate hopefully end of next week. And then we have we have 7 personnel that are going to be going to hazardous materials technician class. It's an 80-hour class. They basically put on the goofy looking suits and go down range and play on the bad stuff. And then we have our Firefighter 2 live burn coming up the first week of October. We have 10 personnel in it. It's just a requirement that we have to do. And that was the closest we've been able to get it in since all the new hires have in and out and everything. But we're turning and burning at the fire hall, but everything's running smooth.
Well, thank you. Questions for Drew? Ken?
Just real quick, our fencing project is about to get underway finally. We're having a pre-construction meeting later on this week. We've been on hold waiting on the contractor to gather all his materials. He ran into problems and was able to prove that some stuff were just not available. Supposedly he's got everything now, so we'll have a pre-construction meeting and then we'll set up a time to proceed. So,
Questions for Ken? Thank you. I know Brandon's back there. No. We have Captain Cook. Correct?
Yes, sir. The speed bump for OK Tire has been ordered. It got ordered 2 weeks ago. I'm still waiting on it to come in, along with the one on Scenic Drive as well. That's about all I have, unless y'all have something for me.
Questions? Thank you, Brandon. Appreciate what you do. Captain Cook.
Lewisburg police officers responded to 1,280 calls of service in the month of August. We had 28 new cases assigned to our CID unit. We currently have 3 officers scheduled to graduate the academy in the next 3 weeks, so looking forward to that. We're currently still 5 officers down, so we'll be hopefully accepting more applications. But other than that, everything's still running smooth.
Questions for the captain?
Yes, your 1280 call-outs, is that above normal? What's your normal monthly?
It's about average. They're starting to slow down a little bit. Kids are back in school and everything, so summer's starting to come to an end. It's about average for right now, yeah. And when I say calls of service, that's officer-initiated calls of service, and then that's all together. Yep.
Additional questions? Thank you, Captain. Does anybody else have any other business? You've already stated yours.
Yes, sir.
Announcements. Thank everyone for coming. And yes.
I do have one I was going to ask the city manager about. Some lights at the youth football field on Airport Drive. I was asked to bring that up. They've had some lights in a storage container out there for a year, and they're wondering if we can expedite getting them put up. I'm not even sure where to start with that. Does it start with Parks and Rec and they get with LES, or?
Yes, you have to have a collaboration with LES about poles and this and that, and I think that's where we're in the midst of that ongoing at the youth football field and the soccer field.
Okay. Is there a way to get that moving on?
There's a lot of legal stuff that comes with it. You have to involve the engineers with it, and they have to give approval and all of that. So, and you have to collaborate between the two, between LES and the light fixture and all that.
There's a rec board meeting tomorrow night that you could bring it up at.
Okay.
I have one other time.
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to direct the city manager to increase the head of the street department by $11,000. We talked about it at the work session, and everybody was in agreement on it, and I'd like to have a vote on it, and then direct him to decide on
So that's a motion.
I thought it was, according to the charter, that's the city manager's discretion. And I just explained the way I was going to do it, and that's fair.
Well, you said you didn't like giving people different raises in the middle of the year, but yet someone got a $17,000 increase.
No, that was not a raise. That was, her job duties changed, and nobody in this room that's ever worked before would have their job duties increased to that magnitude and not receive more money for it. We've all worked.
Okay, that was my motion.
That was two totally different things.
Okay.
I'll second that.
Vote on
So you vote.
That motion is, I don't know if it's out of order or but it's certainly not something the city council can direct the city manager to do as to a specific salary for a specific person. Both the charter and the TCA are pretty clear that all the personnel matters, all the administrative matters, all the employment matters are strictly within the city manager's discretion. So the council has legislative authority. You can say, we're going to give you, $5 million for salaries this year for payroll, and it's up to you and the department heads to see how it's spent and to give raises where they're appropriate. This year, you can give a general raise, as we did, as was approved this year, 4% or $1. But you couldn't go in and say, well, everyone's getting 4% and $1, but I think this one person needs 10%. That's not something the city council has the authority under the charter or the ordinances or the state laws to do. Y'all are general in policy, and city manager gets control of specifics and what the departments do with their money.
What can we change to be, I don't know what it takes, a change in our charter to be paid by performance instead of straight across the board?
I think the charter, you correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. Huffman, I think the charter currently just allows the city council to set salary for yourself, myself, city manager, and city treasurer. Is that correct?
Right, those are the four roles that the city council has direct authority over for their salary and who's in them. Everyone else is under the supervision of the city manager.
As of right now.
As of right now, and the city manager form of and council form of government that Lewisburg's charter is under. Even if you wanted to change your charter so that you could make individual appropriations like that, it wouldn't be allowed by statute to change the charter through that. I don't think you'd get it through as a private act because of that.
Okay, I have two questions. So the city council had, can we do the COLA raises like we just did? Is that, because we just approved?
Yes,
them?
because
Okay, all right,
that's broad
all
and
right.
it affects everyone.
Now,
It's
can we
under one
handle
person.
the public services raise through the budgeting process?
Which,
When we budget for next year for 20, would that be?
again, I think that gets, when you're talking about one position or one person, or even if you single out one department, that may get outside your authority. You can say, we're allotting this much money for raises, we're allotting this much money for salary, and we'd like to see, and vote on that. And you can say, we feel that these departments need more funding than we're getting, and you can set the funding for that department. But how it, how it gets spent once it's in that department's budget is up to, I guess, the department and the city manager, other than the big number for each one. And that's something that the budget committee comes up with through the appropriation process, is what should each department have, what's their total salary amount that they need, what's their total operating costs they need. So in general, you can address it, but you still can't get to specifically, we want to pay this person this much.
I was just thinking that with our city manager's plan, that would give us time to look to see how effective it is and if it solves the problem. I think the plan's valid.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know that it'll solve the problem, but I think we need time. And if we could wait to the budgeting process and appropriate funds then, that might solve the problem.
And it may, and the plan to make, for him to administratively make them non-exempt is something that can be done. And that may solve the problem. And then certainly by then, we'll have the salary and compensation study
Right.
that will say, what should everyone be paid, and you can probably have a resolution that, directors should be paid in coordination with that salary and compensation study, and that would apply to all the directors, but you can say this director should be paid.
So we could allocate more for the street department, total, everybody in the street department, if that's the weakest.
Or we could use the salary study to base all of our budgeting decisions,
But,
and not just one, so.
And you could allocate that money now, but you still can't tell the city manager he's got to pay somebody more or less, or what to do with it once it's allocated. That's a departmental decision, that's an administrative decision, not a legislative.
Well, Mayor, if I may, I mean, my opinion, you already set a precedent by the $17,000 raise, so I don't know how you already set a precedent, so I don't know, a raise is a raise is a raise, like I told you last time, I don't care what you call it, cow, horse, it doesn't matter, so, I think the man deserves a raise. If you don't want to give him one, just say you don't want to give him one.
Again, that's your opinion. I won't argue with anyone's
It's my
opinion.
opinion.
I won't argue with anyone's opinion. I describe the details around what happened, and I'm not gonna sit here and come every week in front of an audience and perform this. Because when it boils down to it, I start to wonder, is it about this individual and his salary, or is it about something else?
Not on my part, it's just he was so much under the other head departments, that was my whole purpose.
Yeah, that's all it's about
And
to me.
I
I've
mean,
seen
that's
that
why
too, and I told you,
it's
you
a big
cannot
difference
compare
for
a
head.
department head to a department head, because each department head requires a different set of skills to perform that job. Different skill set, different requirements, different levels of education. His street department salary is in line with what everybody else in the street departments have been making until these other communities start doing their salary surveys and compensation studies, and then a lot of them have bumped it up. My thing on it ever since I've been here is that everybody was underpaid.
Well, I got 2 points. If the council wants to bring it up every meeting, it's on the agenda, I think we're gonna discuss it, or it's that or any other item.
Like I say.
And nobody here, I don't think since I've been here a year, nobody addressed the taxpayer that I see. We all work for the taxpayer, that's it, that's where the buck stops. And, we may have to cut budgets next year. So talk about raises, we may have to talk about cutting budgets. We don't know yet. So everybody just keep that in mind, please.
Counselor, is it your recommendation that I not call for a vote?
It would be, because that is simply not something the council can recommend and do.
Okay. Any other questions?
Just one other item. The lights at the stage at Rock Creek, is Parks and Rec going to get that fixed in time for Goat Fest? I think they've known about it for quite some time and haven't done anything with it.
It's in the Parks and Rec budget to get it fixed. They have called the right people in that understand that lighting and how it works. And it was waiting on their time frame to be able to get here and assist in doing it so it'll be done properly. So,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Anything else? Do we have a motion to adjourn?
Make a motion.
Councilwoman Harwell makes a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Councilwoman Parsons seconds that motion. Is it voice vote? All in favor say aye.
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 Those opposed say no.